According to the latest audit financial report released by the Office of Public Accountability, Scientists Fund and Awesome Learning Academy Charter School, or SiFA, ended another fiscal year in a deficit, which may cause the school to shut down. The OPA reports that SiFA ended fiscal year 2021 in a deficit net position of $1.4 million. That's an improvement from the fiscal year 2020 deficit of $2.6 million, according to Ernst & Young LLP, who conducted the audit for the OPA. Although the deficit of the fiscal year is better from the prior year, Ernst & Young emphasized that because of the Partnership for Learning Support and Education through Lease Utilities, Supplies, and Services, or PLEASE contract, SiFA's operations will be affected. That's the 5-year contract with Eagle Land Holdings LLC, which expires in June of next year. However, Ernst & Young noted there were no deficiencies in the internal controls and compliance with certain provisions of laws, regulations, contracts, and grant agreements in 2 management letter comments. In addition to paying for the PLEASE contract, SiFA periodically receives cash advances from Eagle. In fiscal year 2021, Eagle advanced $98,000 for medical insurance. SiFA records the cash advances as payment due to the contractor. Meanwhile, the OPA report also indicated that SiFA's total revenues increased while total expenses decreased. SiFA's total revenues of $3.9 million about doubled compared to fiscal year 2020. Gov Guam appropriation made up 80% of the total revenues at $3.1 million, while the Education Stabilization Fund, or ESF grant, of $219,000 contributed 6%. SiFA counted the $544,000 discount from the PLEASE contract as another income, which contributed 14% to the total revenues. Gov Guam appropriated $2 million or $6,000 per enrollee in fiscal year 2021 for 325 students. However, with 346 enrollees in school year 2020 to 2021, SiFA received an additional $150 per pupil. SiFA's fiscal year 2021 total expenses decreased by $575,000 or 18% from $3.3 million in fiscal year 2020 to $2.7 million. Despite SiFA's total revenues being enough to cover expenses in fiscal year 2021, its financial obligation under the PLEASE contract remains larger than its cash inflows, causing its net position to stay in a deficit, which questions SiFA's ability to continue operating. Public Law 35-39 authorized SiFA to use unexpended funds to pay prior year obligations. The charter school requested an additional $1.1 million to pay the remaining obligations under the PLEASE contract. Although Gov Guam approved prior fiscal year appropriations to cover past obligations, the annual payment alone to the contractor is expensive. SiFA plans to renegotiate the PLEASE contract, request to forgive past debts, and seek additional funding from the legislature, grants, and local businesses to provide sufficient cash flows for operations. Reporting for Guam's News Network, Guahu si Isaiah Agan.